In this day and age of extremes, there are more and more cases of couples going overboard to impress their intended family and friends with their nuptials and honeymoon. But in some instances, there have been deadly consequences during that grand entrance to the wedding and on that honeymoon. We call it deadly love expressions, and we warn you some of this could be graphic. Just this year, Egal Tishman and Shiv Fankin were on their honeymoon when they decided to go ziplining in West Bay Rotan. They slammed into each other on the line and Tishman was killed. Last year, this bride in Brazil wanted to surprise her husband-to-be by landing with a grand entrance at her wedding in a helicopter. That helicopter crashed in heavy fog and the couple was never married. 28-year-old Amber Bellows and her new husband Clayton Butler were base jumping to celebrate their marriage when Amber's parachute didn't open. She plunged 2,000 feet from Mount Kennesaw in Utah. And 22-year-old Crystal Rodriguez was parasailing in the Bahamas on her honeymoon when investigators say her harness snapped. She fell 200 feet into the sea and died. Joining us now is a man who is into extreme activities, from skydiving damn near every week to scuba diving to snow skiing. Amir Valinia. When you see these cases, they're very disturbing because these are young couples, in most instances just starting their lives. But they're doing dangerous things in order to impress family members, friends, and that intended one. What advice would you have for people who are planning to jump out and skydive like you do weekly in order to make a proposal, or someone who is hang gliding on their honeymoon? This shouldn't be a first-time occurrence, right?
Well, definitely not a first-time occurrence. And for example, skydiving, if you do your first jump, it's going to be with an instructor. You have to do 2 tandems before you're actually allowed to go out towards your A license for skydiving. What I would say is, if you're going to do a tandem skydive, make sure you go to a place that's reputable. USPA, United States Parachute Association, has certain guidelines, and you want to make sure that the drop zone you're going to actually is part of USPA, not just somebody that opened up a drop zone and knows nothing about it. You're putting your life in somebody's hand. You want to make sure these people are trained enough that you can trust them to put your life into their hands.
And Amir, right now we're looking at some of the video of you actually skydiving. Like I say,
my very first one.
You did it you do it like once a week, constantly. And what are some of the other extreme activities that you do that you'll see couples trying to emulate in order to impress one another for this marriage proposal or a honeymoon?
Well, some of the other things, I've seen a lot of marriage proposals actually happen at the drop zone. Those are tandem skydives, obviously. As far as other things, I think, I don't know, maybe
hang gliding, all of that,
gliding, all that stuff. But these aren't activities that you want to do for the first time. These are things that you want to be experienced. Me, I've been skydiving for 2.5 years, and if I was to get married to someone and they're not experienced enough, there's no way I would say, okay, let's go ahead and go, and we're each going to jump our own parachutes and land over at a drop zone we're not familiar with.
Now, in one of these instances, in the case with the helicopter crash in Brazil, where the couple, the wife, the bride rather, was trying to make a grand entrance into the wedding party when the plane crashed as a result of there being too much fall. Sometimes they're just accidents.
They are just accidents. It's very tragic. You know, it's very tragic when an accident happens in general, but on a special day like that, it's even worse. But, you know, it's really out of their hands. I think the only advice I would have is, maybe if you're hiring a helicopter service, check them out. Check them out online and see what kind of safety record they have. If the pilot's been a pilot for a long time, or just somebody that just got out of pilot school, you know, those things are pretty important, I think. You know, if you're hiring a limo service, you're at the same dangers. I mean, the driver could get in an accident, but more than likely you're going to check out that limo service and make sure that they have a good safety record. So do the same thing when you're doing extreme sport, because a lot more danger might be there.
Number one word is safety here.
Safety
Amir Valinia, thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored.